Abaya, you ready?
I'm ready, but yeah.
Welcome, everybody. We're just giving everybody a minute to join. Please mute yourselves and we will get started in a few minutes. Hello, thanks for joining. Again, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. We'll get started in a few minutes. I see a couple smart people who are eating dinner at the same time. Very good. How did that happen?
Nena, estoy en la reunión esta.
Is that you, Umit?
No. It's I'm muting participants. It's participants doing that.
Did you see the change in the screen though?
Oops. Hold on.
Give us a second, everybody. Great, thank you. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Okay. The numbers are getting up there. We had over 200 people RSVP for this session, so we're just trying to give everybody a couple minutes. I know, but I want to respect everybody's time, and of course, also want to ensure that we have enough time for questions. We're gonna, if you can just wait on questions, we have a whole presentation prepared for you all, and we have interpretation. Okay, I think, so first off, welcome everyone. Really, very, very excited to be here. My name is Michelle de la Hoz, and I'm the Executive Director of the Fifth Avenue Committee. And I'm joined by colleagues, Charmaine and Abaye and Bill, to go over this new opportunity for affordable senior housing in Sunset Park, right on the border with Bay Ridge. Why don't we go ahead and put up the presentation, Abaye, because that has instructions about the Zoom and the interpretation. I think that everybody will find helpful. So again, thank you for being here. This building that you see is actually now built. This is the building's name is Sunset Ridge. And the address is 6309 4th Avenue, and it's an affordable senior project for folks that are 62 years old and older. And go on to the next slide. So some instruction here. We have interpretation or translation via Zoom. So if you scroll to the bottom of your screen, you'll see that there's an interpretation button, just as you see in this picture circled in red. The flags aren't there anymore in color, but if you click on the interpretation button, you'll see that we are simultaneously, there are different channels for different languages, and you just click on the language that you want. If you want Spanish, click on Spanish. If you need Mandarin, we have Mandarin. We have Cantonese and Arabic. And we have Daniela, who's translating in Spanish, Dina, who's translating in Arabic, Minghua, who's translating in Mandarin, and Eric, who's translating in Cantonese. We really thank our interpreters very much, and Umit, all of whom are with Dragoman and who we've worked with previously. So we're really excited to be working with you again. You should all know that this session is being recorded and it will be available on Fifth Avenue Committee's website at the end of the presentation tomorrow. So we can go on to the next slide. So again, this is just another, indication of where you will go to find the various channels. And you go again, select interpretation in the bottom right-hand corner of your Zoom screen, and you'll see 5 different languages: English, Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, and Arabic. So choose the one that you want to listen to. So choose, as I'm just walking through this again. So click on interpretation, choose the language that you want. Instead of Chinese, we have Mandarin and Cantonese. We have multiple options. And then please, make sure that you, if you need to mute the original audio, you can either listen to me and the others speaking in English and listen to the translation at the same time, or you can mute it. That way you only, you only hear the translated presentation, whatever's convenient for you. Again, if you're doing this via your phone, then you'll see at the very end of your phone screen, you'll see the word more, and you'll see 3 dots. So you click on that more and 3 dots, and you'll see the opportunity to see the interpretation. So we're going to be doing a couple things. One is you can ask questions in the chat and during the presentation, and we will we'll try to answer them while we're presenting. And then at the very end, we will have most of today's presentation time. We'll be here till 7:30, and most of the time at the end is really going to be dedicated to questions and answers. And you should use the raise hand button in Zoom where it says reactions. If you click on the reactions or the happy emoji, then you'll see that you can raise your hand there, and that at the end of the session we will be answering questions live with everybody's face. Okay, then moving on to the next slide. It's really important. As I said, we're expecting up to 200 people on this Zoom session. So it's really important that everybody remain muted throughout the presentation, and then at the end you'll be called on. Once you have raised your hand, we will keep track of everyone who has raised their hand, and we will call on you to speak. And then at that point, you will unmute your microphone. Okay, so I really want to thank all of our local elected officials and the local community board for sponsoring and co-sponsoring this Affordable Housing Lottery information session. Great group of people, all of whom care deeply about affordable housing. Moving on to the next slide. So, basically the presentation, we're going to go over Fifth Avenue Committee's mission and an overview of the project. We're going to talk about Sunset Ridge, the name of the project, its features and its amenities, the design of it. We're going to do a little bit of explaining about what affordable housing is, because I know, people have questions about that. We're going to go into specific affordability levels and rents for this particular senior affordable housing project. We're going to walk you through actually how to apply online through New York City Housing Connect. And then, at the end, we'll go through questions and answers. You see at the bottom, first I just want to say, you see at the bottom of the slide, Fifth Avenue Committee's logo, plus the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development and New York State Homes and Community Renewal. So Fifth Avenue Committee is the nonprofit that I'm the executive director of, that is building this affordable housing and will ultimately manage this affordable housing. FAC has been around for 45 years. And our mission is to advance economic, social, and racial justice. And we own and manage multiple affordable housing projects in and around Sunset Park, but we also offer many other programs. We serve over 5,500 low and moderate income New Yorkers a year. Moving on to the next slide, some of you might also know our affiliate Neighbors Helping Neighbors, that does eviction prevention work and tenant organizing work in Sunset Park. But FAC also does many other things, like we have adult education and literacy programs, we have benefit access programs, we help people file their taxes for free, we help, through our other affiliate, Brooklyn Workforce Innovations, we provide workforce training and place people into jobs. So we do many different things. Affordable housing is just one of the things that Fifth Avenue Committee does. Moving on to the next slide. Specifically for this project, so the 6309 4th Avenue Sunset Ridge Affordable Housing Project. So the local community board, Community Board 7, has identified affordable housing as a very significant priority. And in Community Board 7, and that's Community Board 7, if you don't know, is Sunset Park and also includes Windsor Terrace. 30% of the people that live in Community Board 7 are severely rent burdened, which means they're paying more than 50% of their income towards rent and or utilities right now. That's very, very significant number of people. There's been significant population growth overall in the local community board, and market rate rents in the neighborhood, the median market rate rents have gone up substantially over the last few years. So I'm going to turn it over to Abaye to now give more background specifically about this project.
Thanks, Michelle. So hi, my name's Abaye. I'm a project manager here at FAC, and I've worked specifically developing this building, 6309 4th Avenue, also now known as Sunset Ridge. So this building is a 100% affordable housing project. We have developed, and we're also going to have with our partners a universal pre-K with 5 classrooms in the building as well, which will help address the community's shortage of preschool and pre-K spaces. 7 of the floors in the building have laundry rooms. We also have lounge spaces, a TV room, and a outdoor terrace area with benches and plantings that are available for the tenants and residents to enjoy. In the new building, which is the building that you see here in this photo, there are 76 residential apartments, and those are on the 2nd to 9th floors. And then to the left of the large new building on the corner, there are 2 townhomes that are part of the larger project as well that we renovated. And there are 7 apartments in those townhomes as well. So in total, there are 83 units that are available, 53 studios and 31 bedrooms. Out of that total of 83, 57 of those are lottery units that will be allocated through the lottery process on Housing Connect. So some of the amenities in the building, as I mentioned, there's a large outdoor terrace on the 2nd floor. There are TV lounge rooms, and there is a laundry room on almost every residential floor. There is an on-site superintendent who lives on the property. Both buildings, so the main building has actually 2 elevators, and the townhouses have an elevator as well. Location within blocks of public transit. It's a short walk to the N and R trains, as well as the buses, shopping, schools, a hospital, parks and employment opportunities. A new pre-K school within the community facility space. As I mentioned, will answer the growing need for school spaces. And I also just wanted to mention that we're partnering with Bay Ridge Senior Center for our senior services, and there will be access and shuttles to a brand new senior facility with meals and exercise opportunities and different opportunities that'll be part of what we're providing to the residents in this building.
And just to add, Bay Ridge Senior Center will actually have offices on site in the building as well.
And then these are just two sample layouts of one of our studio apartments on the left and one of the one bedrooms on the right. There are different layouts, but generally this will give you a sort of a sense of what we're looking at. So I believe I will now pass it to Charmaine.
Yeah. I think it comes back to me then,
Oh.
Charmaine. So, just a couple of slides here about describing what is affordable housing. So, basically, our government considers affordable our housing to be affordable to us if whoever lives there is not spending more than 1/3 of their income on rent and utilities. So if someone's gross income, not net income, but what you get paid before taxes is $20,000 a year, then your monthly rent you shouldn't be paying more than $600 per month. If you do pay more than $600 a month, that means you're paying more than 30% of your income and that you're rent burdened. As you know, there are a lot of New Yorkers, and maybe even some of you, who are paying 30, 40, 50% of your income towards rent, which is why this project is so important. Moving on to the next slide. Go ahead, Abaya, move. Yeah, thanks. So, one of the ways that our government kind of figures out the level of affordability for various projects is through the area median income. It's not the average income in an area, it's the median, literally like the middle. So in the New York metro area, which isn't just New York City, it's parts of Long Island and parts of Westchester, 100% of area median income for a family of 3 is $120,000 a year. That number has gone up year over year over the past several years. And you'll see a lot of affordable housing projects say it's 60% of area median income, 80% of area median income, 30% of area median income. And basically it's taking this number, $120,000 for a family of 3, and adjusting it. So the next slide kind of shows these examples, right? So you see what these adjustments look like for families and the kinds of folks who might be earning, the kinds of families, what their jobs are and what they might be earning and what that means in terms of area median income. And so different affordable housing projects target affordability levels at different, at lower income, moderate income, middle income people, depending on what the source of financing is, or whether or not there's rental subsidy associated with the project. So moving on to the next slide. You can see that for a project that is a studio or a 1-bedroom, what a sample rent would be for somebody that's earning 30% of area median income, where they're not paying more than 1/3 of their rent. You can see that for a family that's, or someone on Social Security that might be making $28,000 a year, that that 30% of their income, they would be paying about $400 a month in rent. Whereas if it's a 2-person household that's at 80% of area median income, their rent, not paying more than 30%, their rent would be about $1,500, almost $1,600 a month. So you can see that depending on what you make, your rent could change. The amount that is 30% of your income would change. But meanwhile, the actual market rate rents are much, much higher. Go ahead. So we're really excited, and I know I'm going to turn this over to Charmaine in a second. We're very, very excited that this project, Sunset Ridge at 6309 4th Avenue, that it's all of the units are affordable, and they're affordable to families at 30 and 50% of area median income. But we're actually even able to reach even more, folks at deeper affordability levels, because we have project-based Section 8. So that means someone can apply for this project who doesn't even have an income. Like, as you can see, the rent levels go from, those are actually income levels, not rent levels. So the income levels are 0 to $0 to $36,030 a year for 26 of the units, and for 58 of the units, it's zero. This is the household income, $0 to $60,050. But it starts at zero. So there's not a lower income limit to apply for this project, but they are our upper income limits to apply for this project. I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to Charmaine now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Charmaine Marizan, and I am with Fifth Avenue Committee Affordable Housing Unit. And I am here this evening to explain or to provide guidance on the application process, to answer questions. I know we're going to have a lot of questions, mainly on the application process. So I'm here to answer all the questions you have. So what we are looking at is a typical ad. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may not have seen it. This is a typical ad that goes out for any affordable housing within New York City, the 5 boroughs. Now this project is called Sunset Ridge Apartments. I know it might be a bit confusing between 6309 and 6309 4th Avenue and Sunset Ridge. In the lottery system, which we'll get to shortly, is actually labeled as Sunset Ridge Apartment. So I say that so I don't want you to get confused. If you see 6309 Sunset Ridge, it's the same exact project, no changes whatsoever. So what we're seeing is a typical New York City ad that's placed in newspapers in the local communities. I actually published couple of these ads in local newspaper within the community board. Usually the units are designated to preferences. In this particular project, we have a borough preference. I mean, if most people are familiar with the lottery, they're usually a community board preference, but this particular this particular project has a borough preference. Go ahead, Michelle. You're muted a bit.
So the preference is Brooklyn.
The preference is Brooklyn. So 50% of the unit is designated to applicants in Brooklyn. And when we reach the application process, I'll explain in more detail how it works and so forth and so forth. We have a 5% mobility preference, 2%, 50% community board. I'm sorry, a borough preference. Next slide, please. So we addressed this earlier. This is the income levels for the project, for studios and 1 bedroom. The income level and the income level usually correlates with the asset level. And I'll explain further in details when we go to that part of the presentation. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned, all of New York City projects, housing projects or development is listed on Housing Connect. That is the only place you will find affordable housing in New York City within the 5 boroughs. Most of you, I'm not sure, would have heard of this by now, or it's been out since, well, it's been updated since July of 2020. From what I heard, it seems to be a better system, more user-friendly in the application process. And okay, with the application process. So I'm sure if you have an old Housing Connect account, you would know by now that is no longer valid, and you would need to open, if you don't, a new Housing Connect account to register or to apply for all affordable housing. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to go a bit into how Housing Connect actually works. You're going to Google. The simplest way I would say to find it is to Google NYC Housing Connect. It pops up right away, is the first tab, the first option. You can't miss it. And you would come across this page, you sign up and you create a new account. They basically ask you for basic information like any other online account. Next slide, please. And here you are, you would hit get started. The New York City Housing Connect. Even if you don't want to open an account, you could always go to this website and you would see all the opportunities there, open lotteries, lotteries in process, lotteries which are coming to an end soon. But if you are looking for affordable housing and if you're new to Housing Connect, I would suggest browse around, get a little familiar with it and register to apply for affordable housing. Next slide. This is generally the newer features to these are the new features to the new Housing Connect. I won't go through all of them. You know, the old one, for lack of a better term, was a little bit antiquated. The newer one is more streamlined, more user-friendly. And please keep in mind, we will be offering services to help as well with the technology, with this senior project. We understand the need is there. So I will explain more in that as the presentation moves along. Next slide, please. The new system, HPD says it's more accurate, it provides more efficiency, and it provides more accessibility. I've been using it from day one. This is questionable, but that's on my end of things. But on the public portal, it should be just fine to apply. The advice I would give here on Housing Connect. Housing Connect is constantly overwhelmed with people applying for lottery. There's a good time, there's a great time, and there's a bad time to use Housing Connect from my experience. The bad time is during the day, like everyone else. The system gets overwhelmed. The system gets sluggish. The system gets overloaded. The best time, obviously, late at night, after hours. Weekends are also good as well. If you happen to come across Housing Connect being difficult, refresh, log off, come back in, give it a minute, try again. You know, for lack of a better term, pick the times you want to use Housing Connect, and you will get better results, and it's much more streamlined. There's a peak period and there's an off-peak period. Next slide, please. Okay, when you're setting up Housing Connect, there's only two things you need. You definitely need an email account. That's where you get all your communication through Housing Connect. And you either need a cell phone number or a second email address, so you can get authentication for confirmation. Next slide, please. This is just the process of going through setting up the account. Basic account setup. Take your time. Don't get frustrated. Log out, start again, and you will get through with the process. Next slide. Now, the thing with Housing Connect is please put in all information that is asked. All information that is asked. Don't leave anything out. Things you might think that's irrelevant and you don't need to put it in there. I would suggest put it. And there is a reason why I say that. Now, once you register with Housing Connect, that's your account, and you can continuously apply for housing. Now, there is a new feature in this Housing Connect where they ask you if you would like to be considered for other projects. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be Sunset Ridge. Fill in all required information. The reason being, you want to give the system an opportunity to read your information that you put in. And if you leave something out, forget to add something, didn't check something or save something, your chances, are not as great as the others. So please fill in all the information they ask or is requested of you. Next slide, please. A lot of people leave a lot of financial information out. It's very, very important you put this information in. I'm going to give you a little secret. The two main factors for affordable housing is income size and household income. Income size, I'm sorry.
You mean household size?
Household size and household income. Very, very important. All righty, and this is across the board, not only for Sunset Ridge apartment, but across the board for all affordable housing. And when I say household size, you put whoever is going to move in with you into the system, into the application. And I'll explain in more detail why that is so very, very important. All right, and you can see on the screen, everything they ask for, put in all information. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is just what you'll see on Housing Connect when you register, you get started and you start uploading or inputting your information. Next slide. So now for most of you, or for some of you who wants to apply for this project online, this is the ad, so to speak, that you would see on Housing Connect. Now, I'm going to explain it very briefly here is when you apply, when you hit on Sunset Ridge apartment on Housing Connect, you're going to see this information. You're going to see the income, the unit size, the amenities, where to apply, where to send the mail, you know, the information to put in. This is just basic information you get on Housing Connect of the project you are applying for. All right. Next slide, please. This is the public view of Housing Connect. Most people, I hope, it's familiar with this. It shows you all projects or development that's offering affordable housing. Like Michelle mentioned before, there are a lot of projects that offer a lot of different AMIs. You go in there, you select which one that works for you. It could be senior housing, it could be condos, it could be any, you know, different location, different areas. The one thing with Housing Connect, you can apply to as many projects as long as you qualify, as many as you want. Next slide, please. Now, this is what, when you're applying for housing, this here, this screen that you're looking at is one of the main focus on the website, because it tells you how many units are available, the income, the minimum and maximum. Obviously, Sunset Ridge does not have a minimum, but it does have a maximum. You can see where your household falls within. For, let's say you want to apply for a 1-bedroom and you have 3 people on the way, you could look at the chart. 3 people for a 1-bedroom, you must fall between 18,000 and 30,000 there. And unfortunately, that number stands, and I'll explain it later when we go through the requirements. When you're doing your household calculation, income-wise, you have to fall within the bracket, within the income bracket to qualify. So this is just to give you an idea on any projects, what the income, household income should be. Next slide, please. This gives you the location of the project, where it's located. You know, if you want to move to Brooklyn, Staten Island, the Bronx, Queens, it gives you a location of where the project is located. Next slide, please. Now, Sunset Ridge Apartments. Now the applications are available for this project. The applications came available on the 16th of this month, January. The applications are available. The applications you can apply 2 ways. You can apply online, as we just went through Housing Connect. You can open an account and apply online, or you can request an application from our office via a self-addressed envelope. And I'll go through that in a minute. Now, one thing that I must mention, if you apply online, do not send in a paper application. If you send in a paper application, do not apply online. Your application will be disqualified. It's not disqualified by Fifth Avenue Committee. It is disqualified by the New York City system. It's considered a duplicate application. So if you apply online, do not send in a paper. if you apply via paper mail, do not send in online. It does not better your chances. It automatically disqualifies your application. One or the other, not both. Okay. So this is the online process for the application. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. The application process, like I said, you can apply for it through our office. You could walk into the office, you can request an application. They will ask you for your ID because we have to keep track of the application that goes out via paper mail. Online, you're more than welcome to apply there as well. I certainly am here to answer any questions, which I know we'll get a lot of questions on the application, and let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Charmaine. And again, I just want a couple different things I want to reiterate. So one is in Housing Connect, the name of this project is Sunset Ridge. While the address is 6309 4th Avenue, when you go to search in Housing Connect online, it is called Sunset Ridge. The other is that in order to apply for this project, not only do you need to qualify based on income and household size, but one member of the household, at least one member of the household, must be 62 years old or older, right? This project is specifically a senior affordable housing project. Applications, we have a question in the chat. Applications are due by March 17th. Is that correct, Charmaine?
Yes, that is correct. And to elaborate on that, applications are due March 17th. If you walk to the post office and get your application stamped, and I'm referencing the paper application, once your application is stamped on March 17th at 11:59, it is valid. If your application is stamped at 12 p.m., it is invalid.
Yeah.
So the date is very, very, very important. Anything after the 17th is not accepted.
Right, so a couple questions coming in through the chat. So again, the application is open exactly from January 16th through March 17th. Okay, the timeline, so after the applications go in, because this is an affordable housing project that's overseen by the city of New York and also involves the state of New York, this lottery process is very much regulated, okay? We expect tens of thousands of people to apply for the affordable housing at this project. So even though there's 83 apartments in the building, 57 of them are available through the affordable housing lottery because the other units are set aside for seniors that are coming out of the New York City shelter system, okay? And it's not unusual to receive 1,000 applicants for every one apartment, right? So, and it takes months to go through the lottery and determine who's eligible. You know, Charmaine and the team in Fifth Avenue Committee's Affordable Housing Lottery Unit, they have to, you know, reach out to people in order. There are units that are also set aside for seniors with mobility impairments, audiovisual impairments, hearing impairments. The people in the lottery who apply with those impairments, we have to reach out to those people first as part of this lottery process. And then we also reach out to folks from Brooklyn, right? Because there is a borough preference here. And then after that, it's the general lottery. Okay, the application in the mail, I put that here in the chat. Again, if you would like if you want an application via the mail, instead of doing it online, you request it by sending a self-addressed stamped envelope and you mail it to Fifth Avenue Committee at 621 DeGraw Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11217. But make sure it gets you know, that the post office stamps it in time. You know, don't miss your chances. And we really do, although we, you know, the paper applications are available, I really want to encourage people to submit via online. Because I want to tell you what happens if you submit a paper application. You know, it goes to the post office. We wait a week or two for all the applications to be received by the US Postal Service. We go there, we pick up however many come in. Sometimes it's hundreds, sometimes it's thousands, right? Then we enter your information. We just take it and we enter it into Housing Connect. We do data entry. And, you know, I look at something and I might say that your date of birth, you know, is, you know, 1947 or something like that, or 57. Well, then you would be eligible for this project. But if I think that instead it looks like 1977, well, then you won't be eligible for this project. Like, handwriting is hard to read. Mistakes happen. So I would really recommend that if you or someone in your family or a friend could help you do a Housing Connect online application, that you do that. Fifth Avenue Committee will also assist people in person to create profiles in Housing Connect so that you can apply online. And if you want to do that, I will put it in the chat. We have people can make appointments on a Wednesday or a Thursday to meet with our staff. And on Tuesdays, we have drop-in, no appointment necessary, at our main office. So we're trying to, like, you know, help people in multiple ways. Okay, what else? So are there other places that I'm eligible for since I'm 61? Yes, if you go to Housing Connect, there are many other projects, affordable housing projects in the city of New York that you can apply for. This particular project, Sunset Ridge, is only for people where at least one member of the household is 62 years or older, okay? But there are definitely other projects where people who are not 62 years older and older can apply. And I would also say that just because you're 62 years old or older doesn't mean you can't apply for those other projects too. It's just that they're not exclusively for seniors. Charmaine, can you answer the question? If someone, they have to be 62 at the point that they apply, right? That they submit the application, is that correct? How does that work?
That is correct. And the reason I say that, because when you enter your information in Housing Connect on paper, and it goes into the system, and it's time for the database, for the city's database to do the selection, it will, from my understanding from the city base, it selects the most accurate information in the system. So if you enter it at 61.523, you're most likely your application will not be selected because you did not meet the criteria.
So you need to be 62 at the time of application.
Exactly.
Right. So by March 17th, 2023. Right. We do not have a preference for senior veterans. There's not a veterans preference for this particular project. If someone has a pending eviction case, that does not unfortunately make you more likely to be selected by the lottery. We you know, if someone is in the shelter, that's a different process to apply for this housing. They don't apply via the lottery. They're referred by the city of New York. Unfortunately, I mean, there are, you know, thousands of people, right, especially right now with the end of the moratorium and the end of ERAP, who might be facing the threat of eviction. Unfortunately, it doesn't make you more likely to be selected in this case.
Michelle, can I jump in here for 1 second?
Sure, of course.
I also wanted to mention that, and this was brought to my attention yesterday, senior centers request an application. And this is for anyone who is associated with senior centers. Senior centers are requesting application, and they're requesting application to make copies of the application to for their members or whoever. Now, I understand the logic behind what they're doing. It makes sense, but it's a disadvantage to the person who's applying with the application. Reason being, the address you put on that application is very, very important. Now, I'm not quite sure how the senior centers work, if everyone has one address or, you know, people who go to the senior centers have different addresses.
They still have home addresses, but yeah.
They all have said, okay.
Yeah.
Only because I don't want application be rejected for having the same address.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, it's, people should place their home address on the application,
Absolutely.
okay? And,
Absolutely.
and so, yeah, you can absolutely place your home address in the application, and if you are someone who is in a shelter or in temporary housing, you can use that address. So there's a question, Charmaine, about if the person gets selected, how will they be informed that they've come up in the lottery, their number has come up?
Okay. Like I said, everything goes through Housing Connect. Once you create an email and when you're applying in Housing Connect and you put there's an option that says best contact method. Once you click on that option, you could say telephone call, email, paper mail. I believe those are 3 options. That once, if your number is selected, and please keep in mind, it's an actual lottery. It's an actual lottery. If your number is selected, you will get notification by whatever method you select in your account, whether it's paper mail, email, text. You know, we see it on our end, the back end of Housing Connect, best method of contact. We would highly, highly recommend email. It's faster. You get notification right away. We reach out to you right away, obviously. Paper mail obviously takes a couple of days to get to you. Best method is usually what you put in to be contacted as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. So there's a question about seniors with SSI only income. So there's not a preference for individuals who have supplemental security income or SSI, but when Fifth Avenue Committee designed this project and put the financing together for this project, we specifically applied for Section 8 rental assistance, which means that people with very, very low incomes, people literally with no income can apply for this project and still live in this project, right? So there's not a preference, but you're not disqualified for having low income. And there's a lot of other affordable housing projects. You go on Housing Connect and you'll see there are a very limited number of projects where you can apply where your income is 0. This happens to be one of them.
I think this is the only one, Michelle. I'm on Housing Connect every day and I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, so we expect a lot of people. I know someone mentioned that his father applied many times. Yeah, I mean, I just want to provide a little more background. New York City has been in an affordable housing crisis for more than 70 years, okay? There are literally, we need to build hundreds of thousands of units of housing in New York City, hundreds of thousands of affordable units in New York City, right? It's one of the reasons why people are paying so much of income towards rent, because there's not enough affordable housing. The vacancy rate, right? One of the reasons why we have rent stabilization in the city of New York is because there are so few vacant apartments. The vacancy rate is less than 5%, which is effectively means there's no vacant apartments, especially for low income folks. So again, we expect tens of thousands of people. We expect over 50,000 people to apply for these 57 affordable apartments. Only 57 people are going to be chosen. Tens of thousands more will actually be eligible, right? We need more affordable housing, which is why it's so important that everybody, you know, go and tell your elected officials that this is a priority. And, you know, next time you're at a community board meeting and someone says, oh, I don't want a tall building, I don't want that building. You're like, I need to live someplace. I need affordable housing. That's how it works. Okay, in terms of, again, where do you get the form from? So you can apply online through Housing Connect, and Charmaine, maybe just pop the Housing Connect link in the chat, right? Or you can apply for a paper application and mail your application in before March 17th. We will put that place to request a paper application. But again, we are really, really, really recommending that you submit an online application through Housing Connect. Here's a question. Let's just say you get chosen from the lottery and get selected for a unit at Sunset Ridge. If your income changes, if your income manages to move above the maximum range, sometimes after moving into that unit, are you still able to live at Sunset Ridge? That's a great question. You are absolutely still available, you know, able to live at Sunset Ridge. But you might need, you're gonna continue. If your income goes up, you're gonna, 1/3 of the rent, you're gonna have to pay more in rent, right? So, what you pay in rent is tied to how much you make.
Your income.
Yeah, what your income is, what the household income is, right? And so your income amount that you pay as the tenant may change depending if your income household changes. So you wouldn't have to move out if you make more than the upper limit, but you might just have to pay more in rent, basically. Great question. Okay, let's see. If you have a child living with you, do you still qualify? The answer is yes, as long as some person in that household is 62 years or older. You know, there are older parents, there are grandparents raising grandchildren. As long as
Yes,
guardians, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as one person in that household is 62 years or older, you are eligible to apply even if you have a child, a minor in your household. That's fine.
Let me reiterate that if you want someone to live with you, please put them on your application. Put that person on your application, even if it's a minor, because it makes a difference with household size and unit designation. So put anyone you want, accommodating you to the unit, put them on your application as well.
Right. There's a question in Spanish for people who have audio difficulties, hearing difficulties. We do have preference in this project for individuals who have hearing impairment. But a member of the household still must be 62 years or older to apply. If you have a hearing impairment, but you're younger than 62 years old, Sunset Ridge is not the project for you. There are other projects. Basically, across the city of New York, for all affordable housing, there are units that are set aside for individuals with mobility impairments and hearing and impairments in audio, seeing or hearing issues. So that's across the board, but the income limits might be different and the age requirements might be different. There's a question, Charmaine, about which income is reviewed, last year or the current income upon being picked. If someone's going to be retiring soon and their income's going to be less, how does that work?
In any affordable housing, not only Sunset Ridge, the policy with HPD that all documents reviewed must be current. So it would be your current income.
Can you talk about green card holder eligibility, please? How does it impact staff?
Anyone can apply. Green card holder can apply. They can also be selected in a lottery if their number is reached. If their number is selected, they can absolutely apply for affordable housing across the board. Now with Sunset Ridge Apartments, since this is 100% subsidized by Section 8, Section 8 has qualifications for an applicant must be a US citizen to qualify for Section 8. And I hope that answered your question. You can apply for the lottery. If you are selected, unfortunately, if you are not a US citizen, you will not qualify for Section 8.
Right, only one person in the household though has to be the citizen though. You can have a mixed status household and as long as one person,
As long exactly, as long as one person is a US citizen, yes. Hopefully is the head of the household.
Right.
Who applies. So it's important to put the head of the household who is a US citizen in the application. But if it's a one-person household, obviously they won't qualify for Section 8. So the next step.
right. Right, okay. Let's see, can you,
How do we get the application?
so you get applications two different ways, right? One is that you do a self-addressed stamped envelope and you mail that self-addressed stamped envelope to 621 DeGraw Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11217. I put that in the chat. We'll put it in the chat again. Or you go, which is the second opportunity is you go online and you apply online to New York City Housing Connect. And just so you know, the presentation,
Can we have the address again? I'm sorry.
I will, it's 621
621
DeGraw,
51
621 DeGraw, DEGRAW
AW.
Street,
Oh, George Street.
Brooklyn, New York,
Uh-huh.
11217. Again, I will put it in the chat as well.
Where?
So
Where do
that-
you put?
I'll put it in the chat again. Actually, maybe Abaya, you can put it in the chat for everybody. You can, that's the self-addressed stamp envelope, and then we will mail you a paper application. You
Hmm.
complete the paper application, and you bring it to the post office, and it gets mailed to a PO box.
Okay.
That's one option. The second option is to do it online through Housing Connect. That is the preferred option. We really, if you can do it online, we prefer that you do it online. It'll be faster for everybody.
Let me jump in here real quick on the paper application. When you request a paper application, in that application has a PO box. That is where your paper application goes. Do not mail it back to 621 DeGraw Street. The PO box is where your paper application goes. If it comes back to 621 DeGraw Street, your application may be rejected because it was not mailed to the correct place. So please pay attention to the PO box that's listed on the paper application.
Great, thank you, Charmaine. Yeah, we're gonna put the Housing Connect link in the chat. We will do that, absolutely. There are only studio and one-bedroom apartments at Sunset Ridge. Because this is a senior affordable housing project, and because senior households tend to be smaller households, the program in the city of New York creates apartments that are studio size and one-bedroom size, okay? There is a priority for individuals who are disabled or who have mobility impairments, who have audio or visual impairments. So yes, there are priorities for individuals who have those disabilities. Again, this household still needs to have a person that's 62 years or older. So just on the Section 8, I just want to let people know that if you apply for this project and you are selected and you sign a lease, you don't have to apply separately for Section 8. This is Section 8. The Section 8 at Sunset Ridge is called project-based Section 8, right? So, which is different than voucher-based Section 8. Project-based Section 8 means that all of the tenants who live at Sunset Ridge, all people will have Section 8. If that tenant moves out, they cannot take the Section 8 with them. It stays with the building. And the next tenant who moves in has to be eligible for Section 8. So just so you know. So, you know, there's not enough Section 8 vouchers out there. I think a lot of people know that. And sometimes it's hard to find landlords, even though it's illegal, who want to take Section 8 vouchers. Landlords shouldn't reject that, but some make it very difficult. Okay, what else? Okay, let's see, we've got questions in a couple different places, so I'm going. We're going to put the app again, the address to request a paper application is 621 DeGraw Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11217. The registration opening date. So the lottery opened online on Housing Connect. It opened last week on January 16th on Martin Luther King Day, and it closes. It closes on March 17th. So it is open for 60 days. So anyway, so Housing Connect definitely does offer housing preference for individuals who are disabled with mobility impairments. Absolutely. Do you want to go over how that shows up on the Housing Connect website, Charmaine? Where people check off whether or not they have mobility impairment or audio visual impairment? You're on mute. Nobody can hear you.
Apologies. What I can do, the access I have to Housing Connect is on the admin side of things. I don't have the public side of things. But if I can share my screen, I will show on the paper application where they can check off the mobility preference. But there's an option on the public view where I believe it stands out where you check off the mobility preference. So if I can share my screen, Michelle, can I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, share screen at the
Show.
bottom. You see it now?
Okay, let me just bring it over. Share screen. I think someone have to allow me to come in.
I think I just did, Charmaine.
Umit, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Everyone see my screen?
No,
Not yet.
You have multiple
No.
screens, I think.
Okay, hold on. Share screen. How about now?
Yep, starting now. Yep.
Okay. This is what a paper application looks like. This is the application you're gonna request in the mail. And unfortunately, if anyone asks, we cannot email an application. We cannot email an application. You have to come to the front desk or request an application. They have to take your information. We have to put it in a spreadsheet and an application will be mailed to you. This is the exact application that will be mailed to you. When you fill out your application, you must send it to the PO box registered here. Now, disregard the Jamaica area, even though it's a Sunset Ridge project, that's the only post office I could find that's available at that particular time. So don't think it's not the Sunset Ridge, it is the Sunset Ridge. So in regards to the application in mobility impaired paper application, basic information, fill in everything on the application. It's really, really important. Phone number, address, household information, very, very important. Over here, this is page 5. On page 5, a lot of people leave the disability out. If you have that disability, fill it in. If you have all 3 disability, fill it in.
So
Give it a
M,
check
M
mark.
is, N stands for mobility. B
Mobility.
stands for visual,
Vis-
H stands
vision.
for hearing.
Hearing, correct. Give it a check mark, fill it in. Because when we get your application, we have to put all this information in. This is what we were referencing, fill in all information. Okay,
Thanks, Charmaine. There's a couple other questions here. There's a
I'll-
question
I'll
about
stop
whether or
here
not
now.
utilities are included. I can never remember that. Are there in this case?
Abaya can speak on that.
Utilities, basically, you get an allowance from Section 8 for your utilities that basically, at least what I've seen on our other projects, it comes out of your rent. So you would pay your utilities directly, but you receive a credit on your rent. So you up to a certain amount. So I think in these projects, it's something around $80, $85 a month. It's an all electric building. There's no gas. Your heat is included, your hot water is included. So you're only paying for your own electricity and the electricity for your stove. That's it as far as utilities that are covered. And so what it is there's a certain allowance depending on whether you're in a studio or a one bedroom. For the sake of conversation, it's something like $85 a month or something. I believe it's listed on the ad, and that would be deducted out of your rent, and you would pay your utilities directly.
Someone asked, they said, I created an account on Housing Connect 2 years ago. Can I still use the same account? When would know? Again, new account,
No.
right, Charmaine? New
Yeah.
account?
That account no longer exists. The old Housing Connect is disabled, shut down, closed out. It's no longer available. So I would suggest start a brand new account. You cannot gain access to that account. It's of no use. It's invalid.
There's several questions about green card and citizens. So again, at least one person in the household, and ideally the person that's 62 years and older, needs to be a US citizen in order to qualify for this project. Okay.
Only because it's Section 8 based.
Right, because of the Section 8, exactly.
Correct.
There's a question about if I am not selected, will I be placed on a waiting list? You want to speak to that?
Sure. Their HPD does not provide, or the project don't provide a wait list for affordable housing. There is something called a mini lottery, but it's not necessarily a wait list. There is no wait list for any affordable project. HPD usually puts the vacant unit back into something called a mini lottery.
Right. Okay, a couple people are kind of private chatting me. I'm gonna start to email people, everybody. Some people are saying, I want that help. People are asking for the help to create the Housing Connect profile. They want that in-person help. Again, I will put it to everyone again. This is someone at Fifth Avenue Committee will be happy to help you create the online profile in Housing Connect 2.0. But you need to schedule an appointment if you want to do that on a Wednesday or a Thursday. I put the helpline for our community services team in the chat. There's a phone number you call, you leave a voicemail. You can leave it in any language you want. Someone will get back to you to schedule the appointment. You can also come to our main office at 621 DeGraw. I will put that in the chat in a second as well. And you can come on a Tuesday to drop in and someone will be available. You might have to wait though, because you're just dropping in. We don't know how many people will drop in. Someone can help you create that profile. We'll be happy to help you do that. Okay, what else? I think that we've run through all the questions, amazingly. Any idea when the new senior housing will be available? So the building's done, right? The building has a temporary certificate of occupancy, which means it can be legally occupied, which is an important thing. And so once people complete the lottery process and they sign a lease, they will be immediately able to move in to the housing. You know, so that, you know, no one has to wait for this housing to be built. It is completed. If you go right now to 4th Avenue and 63rd Street, you will see a building that is done. You will see 2 townhouses next to it, which have been renovated. This project has been under construction since November of 2019. There's a question about the maximum household size to apply. The maximum household size is 3. Right? Because there's studio and 1-bedroom apartments, and based under government rules, no more than 3 people can live in a 1-bedroom apartment legally. If it's over 3 people, that apartment's considered to be overcrowded. And we don't want to have overcrowding. So that's, I think, any. Oops, I'm trying to read this. When can I get the results after I apply? As I mentioned, it can take months. It can take months after the lottery happens. So the lottery closes on March 17th. It could take us up to 6 months to income qualify and meet everybody and collect all their income documentation. We expect it to take anywhere from 6 to 9 months to fill all of the 57 apartments available via the lottery. And, you know, once they're full, they're full. And then people, can you talk about the wait list piece, Charmaine, again for a second?
Sure. Sure. Let me jump back there on the process a little bit so people have an understanding. And I think people need an understanding on the timeline, you know, from the time you apply. Now, when you apply and the lottery closes March 17th, after March 17th, everything else basically is under control by HPD. Another week will pass, then I have to go pick up the mail, all that paper application everyone mails in. I have to pick up the mail about 10 to 12 days after March 17th. That's a week there. Then we have to enter all those paper mail. We don't know what the quantity of paper mail until we actually pick it up. I have picked up paper mail from 100 pieces to 1,000 pieces. So you know, we don't know. That's why we are stressing to please, please, please apply online if possible. All of that has to be entered. That takes about a week to 10 days, depending on the quality. After that, HBD takes another 10 to 15 days to issue us, Fifth Avenue Committee, the project to start the screening process. Now, once we get that, we start reaching out, or you will start if your log number is selected, you start getting notification that, hi, you've been selected. You get a list of documents to provide. So it can take from 1 month, like Michelle says, to 6 months, give or take. Number one, how prepared you are, how fast you respond, how quickly you respond to Housing Connect, and how quickly you respond to the request for interview documentation. So it also depends on you and how organized you are in the process. So basically, it takes 1 to 6 months, or 1 to 6 months at least. In regard to the wait list, there isn't a required wait list for the project. Like I said, if a unit becomes vacant, it goes back into a mini lottery. Now, I saw a question there saying, what happens if I'm not selected? Unfortunately, like Michelle said, if there's 50,000, 60,000 people, with 57 units or 51 units. And we fill those units. And if you are not selected, the project is closed. The project is closed out by HPD. You will not be contacted further. Did I
Yeah,
answer that
there's
question?
there's just too many people. I
It's
mean,
just-
yeah, there's too many people. We can't reach out to the, 50,000+ people who are not going to get selected. It's just not, unfortunately, possible. There's a question about, so there's a question about, can you own a house and apply? No.
No,
This is affordable senior housing. This is low income housing, basically. The maximum income, there are maximum income limits, and there are what's called asset limits, right? So if someone owns a home, or earns more, that household earns more than $50,000 or $60,000 a year, depending on the household size or the AMI level, that's too many assets or too much income to qualify for this project. This project is really for low income seniors.
this project has an asset cap. You could own a home and you can apply. Once you put in that asset cap, the database automatically knows that you are not eligible,
Exactly,
and it won't select you.
right. Okay, I'm going to keep reading here. Can a single person get a 1-bedroom, or could they only get a studio?
It depends on a number of things, and honestly, a single person qualifies for a studio or a 1-bedroom. I'm sorry, a studio and a 1-bedroom. You could qualify for both. It depends on a number of things. If your log number is selected and we do have a 1-bedroom available, you get the option to choose whether you want a studio or a 1-bedroom. It also depends on, basically it depends on, what's available when you are called in for the interview.
Right. Someone asked, can you explain how the Brooklyn resident preference works?
That's a great question. And I'm going to try my best to answer it, only because this is, I believe, our first project where we have the Brooklyn preference on it. And from my understanding with HPD, I'm going to try to explain it the way HPD explained it to me. HPD is saying, and I will confirm this with them, when you put in your information in Housing Connect, HPD will send us a spreadsheet, and we will have to select the applicant. We will have to select the applicants with the Brooklyn address in log order number, because the system is not built to do a borough preference. And I hope I explained that as clearly as I can, but this is new to us. I believe this is new to HPD because they had to go back and figure out, and because their system don't have a borough preference. So it may change as we get closer to the selection process.
The next, I'm wondering if one of the interpreters can read the question from Chang Zhang. It's either in Mandarin or Cantonese, so.
It says, what's the company's telephone number?
Sure, I'll put the telephone number in the chat, but the Fifth Avenue Committee phone number is 718-237-2017. That's the main office phone number, but there is a different number to schedule an appointment. Okay.
Michelle, tell them that when they call to the office to specify that for the lottery, because otherwise I'll get all the calls.
Okay. Okay, Lynn, I got that. Thanks. Okay, we have, let me see. The question is, if 2 people are green card holders, can they apply? At least one person in the household has to be a US citizen to apply, because this project has everyone in this building must qualify for Section 8. And so because of the Section 8 rules, eligibility rules, at least one person has to be a US citizen. I'm sorry to say. I'm wondering if the translator could please translate the Honor 6X message.
It says if only one adult who is 65 years old can apply.
Yeah, and 62 or older, so 65, not a problem, absolutely eligible to apply. The magic age is 62 or older.
It has to be citizen, right? If only one.
One person in the household has to be a citizen. At least one person has to be a US citizen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Someone says, I'm 61 years old and I'm a legal permanent resident. Am I eligible? No, you're not eligible because you're not 62. And in order, some person in the household has to be a a US citizen in order to qualify. Can I answer the question about the green card holders? Okay, question about, so if someone is babysitting their granddaughter or a grandchild during the day, but that child will not be living with them, Charmaine, do they include them on the application? Unmute yourself, unmute yourself.
So I'm sorry, this is Annie. So my question is more like, say summertime comes around and like, if, you know, by a miracle, my mom gets selected, like, and she wants to watch her grandkids for me, great. Will they be able to stay like a week or a month with her? Or is that considered, because
Those are two
they live
different
with
things.
me.
Yeah, so for the application itself, everybody who's going to live, like permanently live in the apartment are the ones who need to be listed on the application. You know, people can come and visit, people can come and stay, but they can't permanently move into the apartment. Only the people who are applying on the application, you know, should be the ones who are listed, those who are going to permanently live there. But grandchildren can come visit, kids can come visit, whatever. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. There's a question about how do you reflect if someone's applying now and they have a family member that might be immigrating to the country in a year, Charmaine, how should they who would move in with them? How should they reflect that on the application?
They should put all that information in now.
Okay.
HPD only allows, if that person is coming in, let's say we in January and that person is coming in September, let's just say September, and you know they're going to live with you, put that person's information in now, because HPD does not allow addition to an application except for a few circumstances, marriage, birth, adoption. But they just, you know, so they should, to make everything easier, put that person, add that person to the application now.
Thank you.
We could always subtract, they cannot add.
Right. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Person? Oh,
Uh-huh.
so if I apply and then I put my sister with the application, is that okay?
If you guys want to live together, that's fine.
It's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, so you can live with your siblings, you can, you know, that's fine, you can do that, just make sure, I mean, at
They're
least
on
one
the
person has to
application.
be, everyone should be listed on the application, at least one person has to be 62 years old or older. And, you know, be mindful of the upper income limits, right? Like if you put somebody on your application and then together your income is over the upper income limit, you will be disqualified because your income is too high. Okay, we only have 4 more minutes. I'm scrolling through these things. So again, we will this recording, we would send it to you guys along with the presentation. Okay, we're also having a second information session on February 27th. So you know, if you want to hear this all over again, or if you have additional questions, you can sign up again on Monday, February 27th. You can register and you will receive a Zoom link for that. And again, if you want in-person help to create a profile on Housing Connect 2.0, then I'll put the phone number in the chart again, about where you call to make an appointment to get assistance with Housing Connect 2.0. I'll send that. Bernice, I see that you want to say something. Do you want to say something?
Sure. Hey, Michelle. If an applicant after they move in and they need a live-in home care, how are
Great
they
question.
to stay in their unit?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. Okay. I know that Diana has had her hand up, and so I'm gonna, Diana, you're gonna get the last live question. What's your question?
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. Just simply, I want to, if you could correct me if I'm wrong. The applications are being accepted beginning March 16th. Is that correct?
No. Thank you. I'm so glad you asked that to clarify it. Applications are being accepted now. You can go online now to Housing Connect 2.0 as of the 16th of January. So last week, applications opened. The last day to apply is March
It's
17th.
March 6th.
Yeah.
Okay, I
17.
got it. Thank you so much, Michelle.
No,
That was
I'm
really
glad,
good.
I'm glad
gonna
you
do that right now.
clarified that. I know we've been shooting a lot of information at you. You know, it's okay. Like you're gonna get a copy of this presentation. You're gonna get a link to this video, right? So you can spend time reviewing it. If you want to schedule an appointment and you know, walk through some of these things, I put the phone number to schedule, you know, where you call to make an appointment in person for help with the online application. We really, you know, Fifth Avenue Committee, we're deeply committed to ensuring that eligible seniors are able to apply for this apartment. You know, these apartments at Sunset Ridge. This is really, we know there's a need. We know there's a tremendous need. So please apply.
Thank you, Michelle. That was very helpful. I saw that you put that in the chat. I saw it. Thank you.
Yeah. Pictures of the units we will.
It's pictures of the units on Housing Connect. They are real pictures. They are live pictures. They were actually taken by Abaye. So they are very, very current pictures of the units on Housing Connect.
Right. One last question that's new is, there are no home visits or home interviews. Like we don't go to your house to interview you but you come to us. We will want to meet with you and we will ask you to bring paperwork as if you are selected for the lottery. And in terms of, there's a question about uploading documents to the Housing Connect 2.0 website. Do you have any suggestions on that front, Charmaine?
Yes. And I'm glad that that person asked that question. We have a couple of other lottery open as well. And the number one concern we receive all the time is applicants are having difficulty uploading documents for whatever reason. My suggestion would be two things. Email us, letting us know you're having difficulty with the uploads. There's a contact information on Housing Connect. Most likely it will be my contact information in Housing Connect and I'll have someone respond to you and address it. Or you could always drop off your paperwork at the office with your name and the project listed on the paperwork.
Great. Okay. And then the very, very last question, can two people apply separately with the same address? Yes. You know.
Sorry, Michelle, I have to jump in here.
Okay, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I asked the question. I wanted to ask if two people apply separately but put each other on their applications, is that accepted?
No, that is grounds for rejection.
Okay, thank you.
How about people who happen to currently be roommates and want to, and they're both 62 years or older, but they're currently roommates, but they will be two separate households in the future?
they cannot put each other on their application.
Okay.
Let's say me and you are roommates and we are living at 621 DeGraw Street.
Yeah.
I can apply as Charmaine Marizan, 621. You can apply as Michelle De La Luz, as 621. We cannot add each other.
Right.
That's grounds for disqualification.
Right. So, yeah. And the size of the studio space is around 500 square feet. Is that, or maybe I'm getting it wrong between the size,
smaller than
I'm
that.
sorry, yeah. The size of the one bedroom is 545 square feet approximately. All these are approximate, and studio is about between 300 and 400 square feet. Okay, I'm gonna have to wrap it up, everybody. I know there are more questions. We have another information session in a few weeks, and we've provided lots of ways to get in touch with us. Thank you so much for being here, and I wish everybody lots of luck.
Best of luck. Absolutely.
Buena suerte a todos. Thank you, and thank you so much for our translators. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.